several countries. Why does the anti-hero talk to us through the screen? And why the hell do they want to cancel the fourth film about the merc with the mouth? We've packed the most important moments from 33 years of our favorite vulgar scoundrel's life into 15 minutes. Movie Play – Movies Under X-Ray. It's like seeing all the internal organs of Deadpool's enemies even before he dismembers the bad guys. You subscribe, ring the bell, and like. We drop info bombs, Easter eggs, and movie games. Stay tuned for the evolution of Deadpool. How did he go from an outsider to a pop icon that hit Hollywood where it hurts the most?
I hope they've locked pain to your every last nerve, because I'm gonna go looking.
Deadpool and Wolverine have shattered all records. The film helped the studio cross the coveted billion-dollar mark and became the highest-grossing R-rated movie in history. The merc with a mouth literally danced on the graves of all Marvel superheroes. It might have even been that he brought the studio back to the top after a long slump. Will the next film in the franchise get the green light? And will there be a place for Ryan Reynolds? Stay tuned to find out. Reynolds is the biggest fan of the character and has put a lot of effort into bringing the chatterbox from the comics to the big screen. Plus, it's Ryan's version of the anti-hero that has evolved the most. The mercenary who used to break the fourth wall and crack below-the-belt jokes for the audience's amusement, now in Reynolds' portrayal, acts as the savior of the cinematic universe and a critic of the entire film industry. In the new movie, Deadpool even takes a swing at the sacred, poking fun at the modern world's diversity principles. And it's no wonder. Deadpool hasn't just grown up, he's reached the age of Christ, so he can afford it. Why do you think Deadpool and not someone else became the #1 savior of the Marvel Cinematic Universe right now? A. He's the only one with dual citizenship in cinema and reality. B. Ryan Reynolds negotiated it for him. C. To avoid a scandal about the skin color of the main hero. D. He's the only active superhero who can rally the unjustly forgotten. Stay with us until the end to find out the answer to this question.
I am Marvel Jesus.
1991, artist Rob Liefeld combines the looks of Deathstroke, Wolverine, and Spider-Man just for fun. He roughly sketches the character on a scrap of paper and then tosses it away. How this draft ended up in the hands of studio executives remains a mystery. But they liked the parody and got Deadpool out of the trash, making him a Marvel hero. His first appearance was in issue number 98 of The New Mutants, but you wouldn't recognize the fan favorite in it. Back then, Deadpool didn't joke, swear, or break the fourth wall, but he already had superhuman regenerative abilities, was immune to diseases, and skilled in martial arts. By the way, how long do you think it would take Deadpool to regenerate from a pile of ashes? A. 10 minutes, B. 1 hour, C. 1 week, D. 24 hours. The creators also came up with the trick involving a serum that suppressed his powers but temporarily restored his normal appearance. However, this feature was rarely used in the stories. The ugly duckling and the antagonist were the perfect combo. But initially, Deadpool's character didn't gain much popularity. The artist was accused of plagiarism due to the similarity with DC's Deathstroke. Even their names were almost identical, Wade Wilson and Slade Wilson respectively. Do you think that the audience's complaints about Deadpool's creators ended there? No, that was just the beginning. In '92, Deadpool makes his first screen appearance, but in the X-Men animated series, he gets a whopping 1 second of screen time. He's just a projection by Professor X and not a standalone character. The next attempt at animation comes 17 years later. In the 2009 short film Hulk vs. Wolverine, Wade makes one of the central characters. And as our colleagues from Full Evolution point out, this is when the most important thing happens: his transition from just an antagonist to an anti-hero. Deadpool is enhanced with vulgar humor, self-irony, a thirst for grotesque violence, and excessive chattiness that drives his opponents crazy.
Hey, if it makes you feel any better, Lady Deathstrike tried to kill you while you were asleep. Better than having to listen to you.
Additionally, the mercenary starts realizing he's in a comic book, so he often breaks the fourth wall, directly addressing the reader or viewer and commenting on the events around him. This in turn makes the fan a part of the story.
Yep, that's a good one.
In the 2000s, Deadpool finally got his own comic series and became a multi-dimensional character. Now, he's not simply a villain. He has motives and shows compassion, though he still lacks moral principles. Most importantly, the Merc with a Mouth built a solid fan base. Fans flocked to theaters in 2009 for X-Men Origins Wolverine, initially making the film a box office hit, but then ruthlessly criticizing what they saw. There, two actors portrayed Deadpool, Ryan Reynolds for the human-like version and Scott Adkins for the mutated version. The writers decided to play with audience expectations. In their version, Wade Wilson suddenly has blades coming out of his hands and laser vision. Plus, after gaining superpowers, Deadpool's mouth was sewn shut. Viewers didn't appreciate this creativity and actively criticized the film for deviating from the classic comic storyline and tarnishing the mercenary's image. Later, Reynolds himself got revenge. In a post-credit scene of the second film, he goes back in time and kills that disgraceful version of Deadpool.
Hey, it's me. Don't scratch. Just cleaning up the timelines.
In 2016, with the release of the first film, Deadpool became a cultural phenomenon. His quotes from the Solo movie with Ryan Reynolds were instantly turned into catchphrases. Just think about Deadpool's confession that he got his own movie by sleeping around.
Whose balls did I have to fondle to get my very own movie? I can't tell you, but it does rhyme with Pulverine.
We'll talk more about the Merc's excessive sexual appetites later, but for now, the first film gives us a full tragic backstory of Wade Wilson's life. By the way, do you know where he was born? A. Canada, B. USA, C. Mexico, D. Australia. Here are the facts about his tough childhood, his service in the Special Forces, his cancer, the experimental treatment, and the painful transformation into a mutant that ultimately drives him insane. Also in this film, Deadpool takes on the role of a romantic hero, with the love story with the prostitute Vanessa being the main driving force of the plot. In the end, this makes the mercenary, who usually works for money, become an altruist.
I didn't ask to be super, and I'm no hero. But when you find out your worst enemy is after your best girl, the time has come to be a superhero.
In the first film, the anti-hero's appearance was also improved. Since the spandex mask Ryan Reynolds wore during filming made it hard to convey emotions, they decided to use CGI markers. Emotions were then enhanced with 3D graphics during post-production. Now, Deadpool could move his eyebrows and other facial muscles, allowing the character to interact with the audience more effectively.
I'm touching myself tonight.
In the second film of the franchise, Deadpool is shown more as a human than a mutant. He goes through deep emotional trauma caused by the death of his girlfriend and tries to kill himself. For the first time, Deadpool takes on responsibility, trying to prevent the young mutant Russell from becoming a villain in the future. To do this, he forms the X-Force team, where he learns to cooperate and value teamwork, which is quite unusual for a lone mercenary. These factors ultimately demonstrate Deadpool's maturity.
Too exotic?
But the most revolutionary year for the anti-hero was 2024. We finally saw Deadpool and Wolverine. By the way, did you notice that title? The Chatterbox's name comes first. Now he, not Logan, is the main Marvel hero. The studio bosses have given Deadpool a mission. No, not to save his world, which is on the brink of extinction after Wolverine's death.
Wade, you are special. This is your chance to be a hero among heroes.
The Merc with a Mouth becomes the savior of the studio itself. He has to reboot the Marvel film cycle. That's why he ends up in the Void, a sort of purgatory, to find unjustly forgotten heroes like Blade, Elektra, Gambit, and the Human Torch. In his new movie, through numerous cameos and multiverses, Deadpool promotes the studio's future project, the rights to which Marvel regained after Disney bought Fox. So, the third part is essentially a big commercial on one hand, and an attempt, riding on Deadpool's success, to push even more heroes onto the audience, whom the studio will relentlessly exploit over the next 5 years on the other. Does this mean Deadpool sold out? Yeah, but he never hid the fact that he worked for money. Reynolds' character even jokes about this in the film. He also criticizes modern Hollywood trends where excessive political correctness has literally driven cinema into a dead end, causing studios to lose millions because of it. By the way, do you know what Deadpool's biggest fear is? A. Clowns, B. Cows, C. Spiders, D. Redheads.
Gen Z and their trauma bragging. Can't you just stuff it down, turn it into accomplishment or cancer like the rest of us?
So Deadpool couldn't care less about all of Hollywood. He compares himself to Jesus, driving believers crazy and hints at banned substances despite Disney's family image. But most importantly, in the third film, his queer identity shines the brightest.
How long was I asleep?
Not all of you was asleep.
Overall, the entire film's promo campaign was one big hint at Deadpool and Wolverine's same-sex love. This forced distributors in China, India, and Turkey to redub all the scenes they deemed inappropriate. Just think about the ad for a popcorn bucket shaped like Wolverine's head with his mouth open being filled with butter. This not only outraged the LGBTQ+ community, but they also called to cancel the new Deadpool. They claimed that Reynolds' character's crude jokes devalue gay relationships. However, in reality, Deadpool is promoting his pansexuality, claiming he's attracted to women, men, and even unicorns.
I'm about to do to you what Limp Bizkit did to music in the late 90s.
Reynolds has repeatedly said he'd like the spandex-wearing mercenary to finally find a boyfriend in the next film. Fans also speculate that Deadpool's numerous hints about his love for Wolverine in the third part could very well be a setup for the fourth film. After all, in one alternate universe, there really is a gay Logan, but for now, the producers have only partially fulfilled Reynolds' wish. The rights to Deadpool's backside were temporarily handed over to Microsoft, which released a gamepad inspired by its perfect shape. Now, you can use Deadpool's butt to play the classic 2013 game by High Moon Studios, which, by the way, is trending again after the success of the third film. Because of this, its price has increased fivefold. And given Marvel's love for money, fans should expect a new video game soon.
Just promise you'll do right by me.
And all these not-so-conventional views of Reynolds' Deadpool are theorized not only in front of millions of fans, but also his closest family. Do you know which member of the real Reynolds family appeared in Deadpool vs. Wolverine? A. Daughter. B. Wife. C. Whole family. D. Son. It's clear how much Ryan cares about his character. There's an invisible bond between them. So, even during the planning stage of the latest part, the actor proposed over 20 possible plot lines to Marvel director Kevin Feige. This suggests that for Reynolds, it's not just a role, but to some extent, his alter ego. Maybe that's why the actor brought his entire family to the set. His wife, Blake Lively, played Lady Deadpool, his 7-year-old daughter Inez portrayed Kidpool, his 9-year-old son James somehow ended up as the Screaming Mutant, and even his youngest, Olin, got the role of Babypool. Ryan posted a photo with his daughter on Twitter writing, "Only co-star I argued with." I wonder how all these lady baby kid Deadpools would react if Deadpool really left them for Wolverine, and what if Ryan Reynolds did the same for Hugh Jackman? But enough fantasizing before we get sued for threatening the family integrity of the Deadpools. The Reynolds. Therefore, Deadpool's evolution over 33 years is impressive. He went from a secondary antagonist to one of Marvel's most popular anti-heroes, bringing the studio tons of money. Deadpool also completely shattered the stereotype of the traditional superhero. His methods of fighting evil include a lack of moral principles, crude jokes, and chatter that can drive his opponents insane. Yes, Deadpool is not a model hero, but it's precisely his imperfections and personal issues that ultimately made the anti-hero more human and relatable to the audience. Deadpool ushered in a new era of superhero cinema. The emergence of the series The Boys, which is another R-rated comic adaptation about corrupt superheroes, became possible precisely after the success of Deadpool. And Reynolds' charisma played no small part in this. The actor became the canonical Deadpool. He doesn't just portray the character, he embodies the mercenary. Yet, with no information from Marvel about a fourth film, Reynolds is also scaring fans. He hints that his participation in a potential sequel is in question. The actor is now 48. A few more years of filming and post-production, and he'll be 50. Should Deadpool age? And will the studio look for another actor because of this? Whenever asked by journalists, Reynolds jokes, saying he'd only agree to a fourth film if he urgently needed money because his wife and kids might bankrupt him. Though they should also be paid for these shoots, right?
You're droning on.
We have walked with you through Deadpool's journey from his days of obscurity to becoming a true messiah. We've seen how a forgotten, background character can transform into the savior of an entire cinematic universe. And we've realized that Ryan Reynolds played a pivotal role in this transformation. This confirms the theory that nothing is created without purpose, and in every world, there's a role for everyone. Of course, we didn't forget our opening question: why Deadpool and not someone else became Marvel's #1 hero right now? After thorough analysis, we've concluded that the correct answer is D. He's the only active superhero who can rally and lead the Forgotten Ones. Think about it. If Thor or even Thanos were in his place, the folks from the Wastelands would have had plenty of questions. But with Deadpool, a simple guy who somehow rose from the ashes of old comics to become a superhero, he's the perfect inspiration for those whose epic return to the screens we're now eagerly awaiting. And while the creators and the actor are still at the stage of foreplay, let us know whose evolution we should break down next, The Thing or Soldier Boy from The Boys? Or maybe have your own suggestions. Share your ideas in the comments below and we'll pick the best one and make it for you in the best possible way.